This is eNCA, it's 10 o'clock. In our top story, the ANC is calling on the South African Police Service to make the killers of Senzo Meyiwa feel the full wrath of the law. The Bafana and Orlando Pirates captain was shot dead at the Vusluris home of singer Kelly Khumalo last night. The parties joined the nation in condemning what it's called a brutal killing. It says South Africa is poorer for the loss of a young and promising athlete. Right, this is what we know about the killing so far. 7 people were at Kelly Khumalo's house last night, including Senzo Meyiwa, and 2 children who witnessed the killing. 2 men entered the house after 8 o'clock, while a 3rd man waited outside. An altercation then broke out over a stolen cell phone. Now, neighbors say 3 shots were fired. Meyiwa was shot in the chest, but no one else was injured. Meyiwa was declared dead on arrival at hospital. The suspects fled on foot. His girlfriend Kelly Khumalo and Bafana coach Shakes Mashaba were among those at the hospital. Soccer bodies SAFA and Orlando Pirates are to hold press conferences on the shooting this morning. The Hawks are trying to bring the killers to book. Well, Orlando Pirates will hold a press briefing at the Rand Stadium in Johannesburg later this morning. Our sports reporter Molefe is there ahead of the presser. Good morning to you. What is the sentiment on the ground as officials prepare for this media briefing a little later on?
Good morning, Joanne. Well, when we arrived here at the Rand Stadium, the players were milling around, clearly looking sad at the loss of their teammate, whom they celebrated a 4-1 victory over Ajax Cape Town with on Saturday night. And for a lot of them, this will come as shocking news because this was supposed to be a great week for them, preparing for one of the biggest soccer clashes in South African football, the Soweto Derby, happening on Saturday. But we will, of course, find out once the press briefing does start whether that game will continue and whether it will go on or be cancelled. Joanne.
It's terribly ironic that Mieni should have died at a time when he was really on form on the field.
Definitely, Joanne. I mean, he had just been given the captain's armband in the national team. He was also captaining Orlando Pirates, even in that game when they beat Ajax over the weekend. And he was definitely in the prime of his career, doing very well, definitely with a great future ahead of him. He's one person who's had a lot of patience when it comes to claiming the #1 spot, both in the national team and in the Orlando Pirates team as well. For a long time, he played second fiddle to Molefe Josephs when he was still playing for Orlando Pirates. But when he got his chance, he definitely grabbed it with both hands and he excelled in that position. And he's held down the #1 spot at Orlando Pirates for a long time, which is why he was also called up to the national team, based also on the experience that he's had on the African continent, with Orlando Pirates reaching the Champions League final the last season. And that is one of the reasons why the national team coach Shakes Mashaba gave him the captain's armband as well when they started the qualifiers for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations. He said Senzo was a definite leader, someone who's got experience on the continent, and he would be able to lead the youngsters in the national team. So definitely he's been doing well in his career, and it's a sad time for him to pass at the moment.
Well, and one wonders when there's such a bond with players whom you play with on a regular basis. You develop a rapport, you begin to gel as a team, and your team leader is suddenly snatched away in such an untimely manner.
Exactly. That's, a lot of people calling for that game this coming Saturday to actually be called off, because I think for a lot of the players, emotionally, they'll just be distraught, too distraught to play, in fact. And it'll be interesting to see what the league does do in terms of that. But for the players, looking at their demeanor when we walked in here, you can definitely tell that they're not in a great mood. About 15 minutes ago, the chairman, Irvin Khoza, drove into the stadium itself, and I saw the players going inside. So we're assuming that at the moment he is addressing the players, and it will definitely be a great, not a great time, but a difficult time for the players, having lost one of the senior guys in this team. He's been at Orlando Pirates since the junior levels. He's one of the players that represented South Africa at all junior levels. So the experience that he brought into this team was immense, and to take a leader like that away, it will be a sad loss for the players.
Indeed, for the country as well. Thanks so much for putting us in the picture there, Molefe. He will be live to us from that press conference a little bit later on. Well, our reporter Narissa